Rise up, rise up. The voices from the ghetto, strong like drums of steel. Rise up, Zambia. Rise up, Zambia. Oh, mother Zambia. Rise up, Zambia. Oh, mother Zambia. Oh, rise up, Zambia. Rise up, rise up, Zambia. Zambia. Oh, mother Zambia. Oh, we hear you calling. Your courage always shining. Your hope you keep on giving keeps the whole nation rising. My mother Zambia. My mother Zambia. We raise the flag so high. We shine. The spirit of the people. We lift. Let's give each other's hopeless hearts a voice. Oh, mother Zambia. Your name echoes through the valley line. Let's give the people of Zambia hope again. Yes, let's go. Let's make the people rise and stand. Rise and stand. From Lusaka to every land, we walk together hand in hand. Let's teach each other courage never dies. Even with tears of our eyes, every heart will sing along. The message still remains divine. The power of the people will stand. lifts its voice to say, we rise with you to a brighter day, to a brighter day. Rise up, Zambia. Oh, Mother Zambia. Rise up, Zambia. Oh, Mother Zambia.
Thank you very much. On this program, we've narrowed down the race to the incumbent President Hakainde Hichilema and leading candidate from the opposition, and who's now being deemed as the leading candidate in this presidential race, Brian Mundubile. That's our sessions here. I don't know what the other sessions are elsewhere, but it's come down to a two-horse race. Of course, it has drawn participants of up to 14 candidates. In this breakfast segment, we discuss what the papers say, events of the day. We review things that could have happened yesterday. And it's all encompassing to what developments are taking place before Zambia goes to the presidential, parliamentary, and local government elections on Thursday, 13th August 2026. Today, I've got a very power-packed team. Let me just invite my team. I've got my usual guest since we started the inaugural program, Dr. Brian, my dear brother, Dr. Brian Sampa. Doc, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Ambassador. How are you? And how are you, the viewers?
I hope you found time to rest, Doc, and you are working overtime double shifts like me.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's a very difficult time. We need to make sure we find time. So we are strategizing, of course.
Thank you very much. I've got my dear sister, Queen Pumi. Queen Pumi, your camera is good, but I'll ask you to adjust the light that is dominating here. But how are you? First, greet the audience. Greet the audience.
My dear sister, Queen Pumi. Queen Pumi,
Sorry.
but I'll ask you to adjust the light that is dominating.
I've got feedback from Honorable Queen Pumi. She's going to introduce herself to you. And there's a light that is reflecting just down here. And I've got another person in the studio. Banamayo need a lot of time to prepare, and I ambushed her, but she's here. We'll have her voice. Bella is here. Let me just welcome Bella. Bella, welcome. You are in Zambia, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ambassador. Nice to have you and nice for you to have us. Brilliant having you as always. Hi, viewers everywhere, all over the world, diaspora. Hope everybody's okay.
Thank you, Bella. Thank you. We'll be delving into the issue. Let me bring Queen Pumi. Yeah, this is better. Queen Pumi, this is better. Sorry, so not everything will go right. Please introduce yourself.
Greetings, Zambia. Greetings. It's been a long journey, so we are down to the wire. 13 days to go, so I'm happy to be here with Ambassador Mwamba, and I look forward to a very fruitful discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. These are the newspapers of the day we are discussing today. First, the copper theft that has occurred on the Copper Belt. It has dominated the press. So News Diggers is leading with that story of the police commissioner, Yui Mwala, who was arrested with a magistrate and a businessman who appears to be also a UPND aspirant, but it's like he stood as an independent, Mr. Makina. These are the major personalities in this election. And News Diggers is dealing with another matter called, U.S. moves visa proceedings services to South Africa. We've got the Real Times. This is a newspaper. It's different from the Times of Zambia. It's also leading with the arrest of Mwala and the magistrate. And they're also leading with the second story of that the U.S. Visa Center has moved away from Zambia. You can imagine how difficult it is, especially for us in the diaspora and for ordinary Zambians to get visas. That story is dominating most of the stories. I purposefully brought this picture. I'll be discussing it, especially for Dr. Brian Samp. I think he will need to emphasize the recruitment of nurses at political rallies. We saw this, that now the nurses are following up the president wherever he is and seeking to be employed. This was in Mlowezi. We'll be discussing that particular newspaper, that particular development. Then we'll discuss the masses leading with President Hakainde Hichilema's announcement that the driver's license doesn't have to be renewed every year. It will go to 5 years. There's also a big story of Chief Mukuni. I think we'll need to discuss. Chief Mukuni is asking government to recognize him as paramount chief. Now there are very, very strong issues around that. First of all, in Southern Province, I think it's not to diminish any tribe at all, so I have to be very sensitive. But, there are Ilas, there are Tongas, then there are Tokalayas. Chief Mukuni comes from the Tokalea group, one of the smallest group in Zambia, but it's a bit bigger in Zimbabwe. And he himself who is seeking to be paramount chief, If you trace the history, where he comes from the Lenges, and the Lenges have a very senior chief, So Vena Mukuni are a very big group from Central Province. He was sent as an ambassador, as an emissary, and he married into the Tokalea queen. He married the queen. In English, he will be a prince. He will be a prince consort. So how can a prince consort seek to be paramount chief? The matter is boiling in the High Court, and the two paramount chiefs, Gawaundi and Paramount Chitimukulu, and I think the Ritunga, have joined this debate. I think that's a good controversial issue. Is Chief Mukuni using his proximity to the president to get as much a lot of things as possible? We'll discuss that particular matter. We have the Times of Zambia talking about 8 million jobs. We have to discuss that. 8 million jobs, I'll have to look exactly what that write-up is saying. They're also quoting the president there, and we'll be discussing the Times of Zambia. Our newspaper, EMV, also led with the story of Yui charged with copper theft, and Tonse Pamozi Alliance has demanded for the release of Kenneth Kamba, the Deputy Secretary General in charge of vote protection. He holds a very sensitive position, and the police just grabbed him. And we think that we should discuss this. The other matter is the remarks by the president.
Those PF guys are people like we buried when they lost. We buried them at a graveyard in 2021. Don't take them out of the graveyard. Leave them there until Jesus comes on earth.
Well, the president didn't seem to be aware that he thought he had buried Munduvile and Makebi. He didn't know they were seeds, and now they've germinated and sprouted in a very big way. Let me bring my team. Let's start with the case of Yui. Queen Pumi, give us your views when you heard about the arrest of a very senior officer, Copperbelt Provincial Commanding Officer Yui Mwala.
Thank you. At first, when I heard, I thought it was a fake news. And then I saw it on your platforms, and then I confirmed that it was real. It's very, very unfortunate, because this is a Zambia police commander to be involved in a theft. So my heart has just broken, and I don't even know what to say. These are the people who is the commander, the people who should keep the law in the country. But he is involved in a theft of, I think, 76 trucks of copper, each valued at 75,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't know.
Well, you are very political, so I can ask you a very political question. The president has been calling the so-called the boys, Makebi Zulu and Brian Munduvile, that Wapompwe, they even have a song, Don't Allow Wapompwe to Come Back. When you look at a story of Sujilite, again, that involved high ministers, district commissioners, police commissioners, people from the intelligence, and that story has gone just quiet, which was far huge value than this $450,000 worth of copper theft. Who is a Pompwe here? When you hear the saga at ZNS, where Max Muwe and others seems to have looted ZNS and FRA, when you hear these big stories that have broken just in the last week, what are your views?
My views, I think, is just God who has intervened, because these people, they have been very clever in coming to Zambians that they are holy angels, and they have been blaming everything on the PF government. And the president is forgetting there's a picture which is circulating online where he took the logo for PF and threw it in the river. So PF was gone. PF is gone actually, and there's an audio where he's saying we have buried PF. So then how can you bring something that is buried via Mao Sampa and you're in alliance with them? And then our president, President Mundubili and President Makebi, they are not PF. They are NRUP, UP, and they're in an alliance with the 27 other political parties. So it's a lot of talk that is confusing people. They say lies have short legs. And I think the president is just caught himself in a web of lies. The looting at FRA, okay, how many other thefts are there to uncover? So I think this is a blessing in disguise. Zambians are really blessed to have these scandals come up now, 13 days before voting, because everything is confirmed, and Zambian will only have themselves to blame if they bring back this government. Because if a commander, Copper Belt police commander, is actually charged theft of copper without bail, what more his juniors? I can't wait on the 13th August what we are going to uncover. I think we should brace ourselves to say once Mundubile takes over government, the amount of theft and looting, abama BP mukashire chali mwemiti shama BP. Pantu, ndemieba, I don't know. There is a lot that they have looted. I don't know. This UPND is like a bunch of kids babingisha mukandi store. That's how they have treated Zambia. It's like you let in kids into a candy store and they run havoc and start eating all the candy. You know
In
what
fact,
I mean?
someone, just to support you, someone was saying, Mutaun, Fidam Cairo Road.
Yes.
You know, those thieves that steal a phone or steal a bag from your car.
Zampa. You know, it's like, oh my
there'll
God,
be a
what's the
horde of
matter with
other
you guys?
boys chasing the thief. But they're one and the same thing. So the UPND are proving to be a far larger looters and plunderers. My dear brother, Dr. Fred Membe said, if PF were pickpocketers, these are looters and plunderers. And this is what you are saying about people getting ready to buy medicine for blood pressure because we'll be shocked by the revelations of the amount of theft and plunder that has taken place the last 5 years. You can finish your thought, Queen Pumi, before I go to Dr.
Yes.
Sampa.
So Mwandini, it is so unfortunate. It is embarrassing. It is heartbreaking. And, you know, Zambians, the ball is in your court. Your God has answered your prayers. And the praise singers, you people who are clapping, we have a problem with praise singers who cheer anything and they have an excuse for everything. You members of UPND, you are the one who are going to plunge this country into chaos. Everything is on the table. Imagine a police commander arrested for theft of copper. What else They have stolen medicine. They have stolen Suji Light. They have looted the FRA for poor farmers had earned money up to now. You know, they paid them late. Now they gave them a low bar for offer to buy their maize. It's like scandals everywhere. In my inbox, people are telling me for the NRC registration, they haven't been paid, you know. The president now is actually enticing volunteers to say, come to the rally, register your name, and we'll promise you a job. It's very
Yes, you
shameful,
are right
really.
there, Queen Pumi, on the issues of unpaid allowances to the people that did the NRC issuance and voter registration. They remain unpaid. I've also received a lot of queries that we should talk about it. Thanks that you've highlighted that they owe civil servants other amounts of allowances, you know, back pays and settling allowances. The entire group of people that have been employed, recently recruited, you know, whether they are teachers, whether they are nurses, police officers, they've not been paid settling allowances. So yeah, just go ahead. I thought I could chip in with that fact.
Yes. So I am so happy. It's like I'm vindicated.
Yeah.
I'm all smiles. I can't wait. I'm like, you know what? We have already won this battle. Some of us, God blessed us, you know, to see, to tell these people that they are not genuine. I've been here personally for 5 years, and I'm calling this office here the headquarters of opposition. So I've been the headquarters of opposition for 5 years, and God has vindicated me. And the entire Zambia, their eyes have opened, and now it's just confirmation. What is
Wonderful,
happening? What
wonderful.
is going to happen? What is going to happen in the next few days is just God revealing you, so that if you are still hanging on to voting for UPND, you are going to waste your vote, because this is a revolution. The tables have turned. And then another thing that I want to say before I forget is, you know, I like going on TikTok. I like TikTok because I interact with the Zambians one-on-one, and I get a lot of information. And one information that I've got is that they are going in the homes and buying voters cards from people. So I think this is a
In
matter we
fact,
need to address.
we have
Yeah.
that story here. We discussed it yesterday. It's a running
Uh-huh.
story, and we have to keep on discussing it. Let me bring in Bella before I bring in Dr. Brian Sampa. Bella, you're on the Copper Belt. Your former police provincial chief is locked up, detained for theft of copper, and a businessman called Makina, a magistrate, and other police officers and the clerk. What are your views about this copper theft involving Yui Mwala?
Well, it's extremely unfortunate. And I say that because, of course, copper trading and the associated services with it in mining are the heartbeat of the copper belt, and it is the bread and butter of most on the copper belt. What really is heartbreaking is the fact that obviously he's admitted it completely and has said, look, I'm not going down alone. And chibe bonse toala filila monsenga, you
Do
know.
you think
And
there are other people involved other than the names that have been mentioned so far?
well, there's got to be. I mean, how does he operate that one-man shop, Mr. Yui? It's not possible. And so you just imagine the extent of the rot. And Ambassador, one thing that I would really like to speak on is politicizing facts, right? I mean, it's one thing to say it's alleged, but it's another thing for he himself to say, I did not steal alone. And then you have a whole line of people who have actually been imprisoned where factually there's no evidence It has not been proven. Unfortunately, Dr. Lungu died with all manner of labels, and he was not actually found guilty. And I feel we must move away from this. We've got so many forensic reports, for crying out loud, which means there is extensive evidence. And I just feel like we need to put checks and balances in what we allow and don't allow as a people in Zambia, because on the other hand, we have these forensic reports, and government is completely quiet on it, to the extent that the American ambassador had to stand up and say, Zambians, hello. And he's literally like a man standing and waving lollipops at the airport runway and saying, please don't allow this. So Mr. Yuyi, for me, represents the cherry on an extremely large cake, Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Bella, for those inaugural remarks. Thank you very much. Let me bring in Dr. Brian Sampa. My dear brother, ubupupu, ubuwa, ichuma chachalo, ubukumabwa chalo, what are your views?
So for me, when I look at the case that we are seeing of Mr. Yuyi, the first time I heard of Mr. Yuyi was the time when he was being arrogant to the late Edgar Lungu. That moment was very emotional because I remember the video which circulated where even Honorable Kambui had to intervene and tell him that, this is a president, but you can't even acknowledge him that he's a former president. Instead, you are calling him Mr. Lungu. Yuyi has been a very arrogant figure in the police. And again, this is something we've been talking about, which is the issue of bringing cadres in the civil service. So when you bring cadres in the police, you bring cadres in the judiciary and all the other arms of government, this is what happens. Because what those cadres do is just to loot, and they also do a lot of illegal things. Now, people need to be aware that when you see the ruling government, which has been marred with a lot of scandals, starting to arrest their own people, there is nothing there to feel pity for anyone. Actually, what's happening is that it just means somebody did not share enough of the loot. That's what happens most of the time. When you see thieves fighting, just know that whatever they stole, there's someone who got more than the other. So this is not a sign that there is a fight of corruption in UPND. However, it's just a sign that somebody may not have shared with someone who was supposed to protect them, and now they had to do something else to try and show the country as if they are doing something about corruption. So honestly, the Zambians need to see this as the more reason why they need to come out on 13th August and remove this rotten government, because what we are seeing is just a tip of an iceberg. There is so much going on. There is so many millions and billions of dollars which have been looted, and it's up to the Zambian people to prevent the country from going into this doom that we are headed to.
Thank you very much. Let me pick another paper. The president, on social media, while they were mocking our president, while in Mwandi used to be part of Sesheke district, but it was declared a district. Mwandi and Mwandi constituency, that's where the president was. Then he made remarks. And he says, I told her that she shouldn't stand as an independent. She refused. So don't vote for her. Now, what happened after the president left? Just look at these visuals. This is in News Diggers. And this is what happened after the president left. Wapumulo Stombeko will confirm with me, Queen Pumi, Mwandi is a small town. The entire village, the entire town came together to support Iris Kaingu, who was being victimized by the president. This is what we say about the president. How accurate is his information? Why does he seem so confident? Is there a revolution going on and the president is blinded by false reports? There is a small town, Mwandi, and the entire town came with candles, lights. Nomlo Vengasholi won't say to demand for change. Wapumulo, let's start with you and speak to your people in Mwandi.
It's I'm not laughing, but I think it's emotional.
Yeah.
I'm from Sesheke. My dad is from there. So, and if we look at the history, Western Province is the poorest. I think they have the poorest people in the country. The lowest cost. I don't know how to say it, but the poorest province is Western Province, and Sesheke, they have been kind of neglected. The road, Livingstone Sesheke Road. 4 years ago, I went to Livingstone, and we drove a few kilometers up that road, and it was terrible. The trucks that were coming from Sesheke into Livingstone, they looked like they were coming from a war zone. So, lunanibu data kwa hai. Luamikupa batu wa kwa hai kaufera, kiku vota fa change. Mwaha kiku votera, mutiati sa change. You can't make a change if you keep on making the same mistake. Aka inde ne batire mwa 2021 kutorupuma kuli dikaeza chwana ni chwana. Hakuna zeba ezize. Kwa Sesheke bezesi kama. Hakuna zeba ezize. Mukwa kwa wateni wo awaswabisa. Nakambe kina boye church kambe neniskaya ni kwateni kwale. Happy as a woman. I'm speaking as a woman. The way he spoke to the young lady there, I think is very unprofessional as usual. The president seemed to forget kuliruizimwa democracy. Even if he's the president of UPND, people in UPND can decide to run as independent. Temula ndo akimula twaiba kuli Iris ubatakuli ya Yemen yena as independent akimula tu. Ni mutu kaufera mwa UPND yaiba ubatakuyema as independent. Wako na kuyema. Chwale Mwandi nzeza ile kwale makendo anakuwa na nia ubonona fa kuli batu ba mane kiteba nzimwa muko kwa kuopera kuli we want change. Aluzuyu moba utwera bo hakainde. Hape bo hakainde amukoni kubule abatu kumusike mwa muvotera. Fa folu fitile ko bo hakainde kambe musupafera fo muberekire. Amukoni kuisa mazwi kubatu. Mwatu 2021 muisize manzwi. After 5 years again muise manzwi. No. Nebile fandu au nanibana every day nikakutiseza sweet. Nikamuso nikatisa sweet. Mwanana kata kwa munyako ufitafera ni mazo. Sweet nilibezi kule ka sweet nikatisa kamusu. Chwale 5 years mwanana ulira sweet inge omupuma kuti sweet nikatisa kamusu. The next day ukabulera mwanana yale kuti nikakutiseza sweet nikukobwa ukakulwa. Niko kinera kwa munyako mani anani kutalimera kwa teni. Koka kinera kwa munyako ina uzwela kafare. Kikuyo biza mwinze kai. Kwena yako na kuyo mubata kwa ale mwanana kakuli. Uboni kuli unani buhata kona zeza alile mwa Zambia. Hape ni tabeza hulu kubona watu baka kali kwa Sesheke kuli nibona keba shapuka. Hakuna mtu president after 5 years. Mwa 2021 nalweza promise. Natile ni mazwi with nothing kutopumafera fahanu kuti nikamieza chwana 5 years ifitili ape kela taha ni mazwi ni kutomi halifera kuti muske mwa mvotera padana bali aba utwi banana kuona mavoters nebile fana nani bana baba huluki basizani mani abanutweri babulafuti mina imamu inefera kafari na ziwa zenezi. So our time is gone. We have to listen to the youth because this is their country. They have to make a decision. And you as a parent, if you keep lying to your children will put you in the corner. The next thing you find that even your children have left your house, you are by yourself. Because they are tired of their lives. But in this case, reason what democracy, bakamu voto lola, ki landslide, ki revolution.
Yeah, wonderful. Dr. Sampa, look at the visuals from Mwandi. First, I think the remarks were totally unfair against an independent candidate. But the president is very determined. I think today there's a court ruling regarding independent candidates. The Attorney General and others are determined that independents who didn't resign as prescribed by the Constitution 2 months before the general elections should stand disqualified. There could be a major development. And this, I think, is being pushed by the president's own rhetoric. He has, look at how he has treated Gary Nkombo just for pursuing the position of independent. Look at the independents, especially in Choma and Monze and Kalomo, who are constantly attacked. And there's an independent who's literally gone in hiding in Wengwa, where the president comes from. There's a very strong young man. They've beaten him, they've beaten his supporters, damaged his vehicles and his house. The president doesn't want independence. I think he wanted Southern Province for himself, totally solid. If it was possible, he wanted all the seats declared, uncontested, unopposed. Dr. Brian Sampa, what are your views? And what do you think of the visuals where the people at short notice after the president left, and maybe some of them were even part of his rally, then demonstrated deep in the night against government and demanded for change?
So when you look at those visuals, Ambassador, there's one thing that has been constant about the president. Every time that he's addressing people, they are ferrying people from different areas, and they are giving the impression that a lot of people actually love him and they want him to continue as president. Now, these visuals are an indication that indeed the ferrying is not working. When they ferry people, most of the people are opposed to his rule and they actually don't want him to be there. Why do we say so? Let's look at even his message when he's campaigning. What the president does is when he reaches the stage, he wants to come out like he's commanding the people and teaching them how to vote, as opposed to campaigning and asking for votes. What the president should be doing is supposed to be kneeling down, begging people for votes, and being humble as it were. But our president goes out there to tell the people how they should vote. He is not saying this for the first time. Even when he was in Mazabuka, he was saying don't vote for Gary Nkombo. And the reasons he was giving were not because he couldn't perform, but they were personal reasons. He went to Mwandi and continued with the same rhetoric. Now, when you see people coming out the way they did yesterday in Mwandi, it's an indication that the president's time is up. And for sure, we commend those people for standing up, because it's not the job of the president to tell the Zambians who they should vote for. Instead, the president is merely supposed to sell his manifesto so that people can choose and see that he's the better candidate. Unfortunately, for the president in this election, what he says doesn't matter, because what he has done carries more weight. So he has to realize that no matter how many times he's going to visit these places, he's visiting certain places more than once. Even if he can go and live in those places, he can still get even a zero in some areas, because people are not interested in the rhetoric anymore. They are more interested in what he has done in the past 5 years, and they are judging him as such. So the people surrounding him, which is something that I always avoid saying, the people surrounding someone, because you are only as good as the people surrounding you, because the president is the one who appoints the people surrounding him. So people actually tell him, but again, the president has to make a decision. He's an adult, he's somebody who makes conscious decisions. So whatever we see the president doing and saying, that is his own making. And the Zambians are tired, just like my sister was alluding to, telling the people of Manda and commending them for standing up, that they should continue doing what they are doing, and it shouldn't end there. Come August 13th, they need to rise up and do what is supposed to be done.
Wonderful. Let me go to Bella. Bella, the scenes you saw in Mwandi, where the community rose in defense both of democracy and the candidate Iris Kaingu standing as an independent. Is there a revolution happening in our country? What are your thoughts, Bella? Hello, Bella. Hello, Bella. Uh-oh. Has she dropped out? Hello, Bella. Okay, I can't find Bella. It's like, if you're listening to me, Bella, and you're having problem with connection, because being in Zambia sometimes network is terrible, what you do is just come out of the program and reconnect. I think I'll find you that way. Okay, I'm still looking for Bella. I hope she can rejoin. The Times of Zambia is saying the UPND created 1 million jobs, and they are saying then 8 million people then benefited. Where are the 1 million jobs? Even the so-called jobs that have taken place are extremely suspicious because in civil service, when you do the recruitment, those are not jobs. They are not jobs at all. Jobs are the ones that you get when the private sector creates jobs. They create wealth. Those are real jobs. In the civil service, in fact, for administrators, economists and accountants, they worry if you balloon the wage bill for the public service, because currently I think we are spending up to 52% of our domestic revenue just to pay salaries to civil servants that are under, 400,000-500,000. So what about the 21.5 million people if the 52% of your domestic revenue is going to paying salaries? But the president says he created 1 million jobs, and therefore 8 million people have benefited. Let's start with Queen Pumi about these jobs.
So I would like to start by saying that I am one of the people who went under voluntary separation. It was a World Bank project to reduce the civil service in 1999? Yes. So now we are going back again to a bloated civil service. So I don't think this is something the UPND government can boast about, because public service is a liability. This is not a profit making. Even if they hire teachers, nurses, doctors, that is a liability. So I don't think they should be boasting about hiring civil servants, because it's a liability. What we expected, myself personally, I expected this government to create jobs in the private sector, because that is where they can boast to say we created these jobs. Because if they create jobs in the private sector, those people from the business ventures, they can pay themselves and declare profits and dividends to the government. So this is why you find that they have even borrowed more. Because how are they able to afford to pay this bloated wage bill with the extra employment coming from secret databases? It's nothing to boast about. Stop cheating the people. You are hiring these people and you are paying them on Pankongole. What is the point of hiring? Even you can hire 20 million. We know that Zambia is sitting on trillions of dollars of natural resources. Anywhere you go, this is what is happening. They are selling them unmined resources that are underground there and getting loans. So we don't need such a government who is there to batter us. That's why if ichitike kwase sheke kuria. Navana kaba Zambia is a young country. 70% of the population vana besu. They are under 25 years old. Ama voters. And there is technology where they see how countries are developing and investing money to make millionaires in their countries. So we need a government that can boast to make millionaires of citizens from our resources, not to hire civil servants and then going to borrow to pay those civil servants. It's like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. I saw another lie on who's that Akashamba Tambikusita, who was comparing the bag of minimum, the price under UPND. He said in UPND the price of minimum has only gone up like 97%, and then he said in PEF the price of minimum went at 166%. And what he forgot is like
masheke. Akashamba
yes,
masheke.
yes.
Not
But what he
Lewanika.
forgot is
Yeah,
like
thank
those
you.
he didn't factor the time. Because UPND, that price is within 5 years. Now, if we factor 11 years, the increment will be actually over 200%. So they are good at propaganda, They are good at propaganda. Even the rallies that are happening in the Tonse Alliance Pamosi, at first they were like, it's AI. When the picture started coming, it was AI. Now today we see the international praise singer, the terrorist, saying you should stone Mundubi. It is shameful. When you have lost, be a man and lose with dignity. The signs are there. If it's going to rain, the rain doesn't just come. No, you see a cloud. There's a cloud formation, and you know that this cloud is bringing rain. So you start preparing. And what is happening is that in Zambia, there is a revolution. And what is happening is a sign that this government, they have lost power. There is nothing that is going to happen to them. Even if they try to rig all these efforts we are hearing, they are kicks of a dying horse. They are kicks of a dying horse, and it is tied directly to ECZ. My grandmother there at ECZ is another topic which you have on the line.
Yeah, thank you very much. Dr. Sampa, your doctors still remain unemployed. This is the only country where we have doctors unemployed. You have teachers and nurses going to political rallies to be employed, to persuade the president to employ them. The unemployment crisis in our country is really a huge crisis, especially youth unemployment crisis. Then you hear the president banding around up to 8 million, beneficiaries of these so-called 1 million jobs employed. What are your views?
The problem that I find with our government and the president is lying. Everything that they say, 95% are lies. Let's assume that they employed 1 million people. If they employed 1 million people, how then do we have 3,000 unemployed doctors? How then do we have 29,000 unemployed nurses, more than 14,000 unemployed clinic officers, and the midwives who are more than 5,000 as well who are unemployed? How do we have all these numbers if somebody employed 1 million people? Because even the teachers, we have got more than 100,000. When you look at these people who are unemployed, maybe the number could not even go to 500,000. if you look at these professionals who are needed in the civil service, but if they employed 1 million, we can't even be talking about unemployment when it comes to professionals. But because they are used to lying, so they are now just mentioning numbers. This is not the first number they are lying about. You know, they have also come up with numbers like 2.5 million children are now in school. Like, how did they know these children were not going to go to school if they didn't do anything that they did? What parameters do they use? So this is a government of deceit. They are always lying. They're always using, cooked up figures to justify whatever they are saying. So Ambassador and Queen Pumi, there is no 1 million jobs in Zambia. They can't even manage to create those 1 million jobs. Maybe they meant that they have destroyed 1 million jobs, because all those times when there was no electricity, all those times that people had to go hungry, and that time they used to arrest each and every person who had whatever little they had. People lost jobs. And those times, maybe those are the kind of jobs they are counting, that people lost 1 million jobs. That could be justifiable. It would be so easy to count the 1 million people who lost jobs than to actually count even 500,000 people who gained new jobs. If they are talking about their pockets, yes, their pockets have become fatter. Their relatives have gained jobs, because we've seen, when you look at the family tree for the president, there is a paper that I read the other day which talked about how the president has employed all his relatives, including others are permanent secretaries, others are heading parastatals, and all that. So when you look at, yes, when it comes to them, maybe when they look at that ratio, it may be true that they have employed a lot of their people in their families. But when it comes to ordinary Zambians, the jobs are scarce. We've got people who are roaming the streets. We've got a lot of doctors right now who are driving Yango. And we've got teachers who don't do anything. We've got, clinical officers, nurses. Last time I was so hurt when I met this young man. I ordered a Yango when I was in Zambia. And this young man was a doctor. He was trained in Russia. He completed 2 years ago at that time. And when he saw me, he told me, I know you from somewhere. You should be Dr. Sampa. I said, yes. Who are you? He said, I'm a medical doctor as well, but this is what I do. When I looked at the car that he was in, he said he had to look for a car just to sustain himself. And that car was in bad shape. But that's what our doctors are going through, our teachers, our nurses, and everyone else. And yet we have a government that doesn't care and talks about creating 1 million jobs. Meanwhile, they keep telling the same young people that you need to volunteer for you to be employed. And these are people, one, who don't have anything at home where they're coming from. Others, because they are from rural areas, they had to move to towns where there are hospitals so that they can volunteer. So in those towns, they are being sustained by who? They have to borrow money. Their parents have to borrow money. They have to buy food, clothing, transportation. And this is a government that doesn't care. They will still keep you volunteering for 5 years and still not employ you. They will come and employ their people who are just finishing a day before the employment. They're employing from the database, making people who've been waiting for years to be unemployed. So we need to be very categorical about this, that it's a fallacy, it's a very big lie, that there is even 1 million jobs, and unemployment rates in Zambia still remain so high. That's the more reason why Zambians have got a chance now. There are very few days remaining, and Zambians should stand up and do the needful. Mundubile has come with a lot of promises, and most of his promises are factual and attainable. So let us rise up on that day, Zambians. Don't be left behind, because the ball is in your hands. You've seen the trend, the way the country is going. There is nothing that is going to happen. If you make a mistake of voting for this government again, then now this time electricity, others are saying it will just be coming to greet you and check up on you maybe once in a week. Are you still there? Then again, it goes back, because people were having to go days without power. And then there will be nothing that they are going to create. They don't even intend to build anything but toilets. So we need to be practical when we are speaking. You can't just be saying numbers which don't even have a backing.
Thank you very much. I'll be bringing in Bella. I hope she's back. But two issues that you've raised, very critical. Number one, the 2.5 million figure the president is banding around, that 2.5 million learners have been enrolled or they've gone back to school because of free education. I was looking at statistics from Ministry of Education, from the Zambia Education Policy Data Center. The entire primary, from preschool up to grade 7, we have 4.4 million learners, 4.4 million from grade 1, from preschool, up to grade 7, 4.4, or roughly 4.5 million learners. So if you are telling me that the president has brought back 2.5 million learners into school, you are saying only 2 million were in school from grade 1 to grade 7 before the president introduced free education. That number is totally bogus of 2.5 million. And you've made a very strong allegation that the president has employed his relatives and his kith and kin, These strong allegations are backed by facts. Let's look at this quickly. You have Bini Hichilema, who's at ZICTA. You have Evans Hichilema, who's Assistant Secretary in Muchinga. You have Morris Hichilema, who's Commission Secretary at Local Government Service Commission, where the shenanigans are happening, where council secretaries and town clerks were being removed willy-nilly to ensure that only those that are loyal to the UPND and to the president can man the districts, because these are returning officers in the elections. So Morris Hichilema is at Local Government Service Commission. Then you have the young man Muzoka Hichilema, who's at the Zambian Embassy in Malaysia. You have Constance Hichilema, who's at the Zambia Police. And thanks to President Edgar Lungu, most of these were civil servants, even under President Lungu. He never victimized them. But see the number of people that have been fired just by, coming from a certain region. We demonstrated the statistics from PSMD, where they had packed up to over 400 senior civil servants, accusing them of PF. And all of them came from just one part of the region. So I just wanted to back your strong allegation that the president has been promoting or favoring his kith and kin. But that's a story for another day. Let's see if we have Bella again. Bella, are you there?
Yes, I am, Ambassador.
You have two issues. The protest in Mwandi last night and the issue of jobs that have been created. Please comment.
Ambassador, I'd really like to say first, we are a country in mourning. We are a country in mourning. And His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema has perhaps overlooked the extent to which imitima shabantu shatobeka. And why I say that, when you talk about the issue of Iris, who I would highly, highly appraise for standing up for herself, for giving voice to herself, and for the Zambian people in always standing for the truth. Abene Zambia tatuate molu ulufiengo. No. And where there's injustice, the people of Zambia have never failed to speak out ultimately against injustice. Why do I say this? I think for me, Ambassador, when I saw the candles lit, oh my God, it took me back to the CBU students. It took me back to the UNZA students. And look at how the majority of them are youth with hopes, with aspirations. We had an UNZA student dying because he fell into an open sewer. we have for the first time the Zambian qualification from an UNZA student is no longer worth what it was valued at. A Zambian qualified engineer has always been highly sought after. We remember the time ZCCM used to have so many brilliant minds, all groomed locally. When you see Iris say, I don't want to be UPND, like many of us, I identified with that very, very strongly, because those of us who are non-partisan, who even voted UPND, I think the statistic is that 70% are non-partisan. And you look at...
Oh, guys, have we lost Bella again? We have to understand she's on the copper belt. The network is probably tripping. Let me go to the next item quickly so that I
TIZ election monitors have received reports alleging that members of the United Party for National Development, UPND, have been collecting voters' card numbers and national registration card details from members of the public in Luangeni district in Eastern Province, Zambezi and Mwinilunga districts in Northwestern Province, Mansa district in Luapula Province, Monze district in Southern Province, and Kasama district in Northern Province, among other locations. While TIZ continues to monitor and verify these reports, the practice in the districts where it has been observed has generated concern among citizens regarding the purpose for which this information is being collected. The secrecy of the ballot is one of the cornerstones of any democratic election. Therefore, any practice that creates the perception that a person's vote can be tracked, can be monitored, or can be linked to information that is being collected by political actors has the potential to undermine public confidence in the entirety of the electoral process. Beyond electoral integrity, the collection of personal information during campaigns also raises important questions regarding privacy.
Kabush constituency kureko iminine atinani yo ukukuli uwa UPND udi imelda mpumpuni eminine na ba Titus Stylus Sichinga telampi now imelda mpumpuni fuale chitamwe bantu bakwalesa imelda mpumpuni alesenda abantu ngaba senda abantu padola hiumo bali okwabomba ku Chinese alebe bati lete nama voters cards aleba pela maduve imagine duve ya 130 kwacha na ka 10 kg kabunga ngabasha yale ama voters cards aleshala ocha nomba kusheta kuli abanga mchitako report mwe bantu fyefo alechita ukocha ama voters cards abapoka abantu nabena abantu fipu batabatontonkanya apoka abantu ama voters cards abapera duve iya 130 kwacha na abapita sana bana mayo bale
so ka spirit card vision ba bosta bakakareke kaka division twasanga bale bakonde mwa twai kataka spirit card vision tawakareke even na baleti president ba Kenneth Kaunda na tampo tuma clip tumonto bale bakonde mpo kwa uyu muntu akataka spirit card division tawakareke national and there is no way ngabali kuri uyu mutundu ni one Zambia one nation ngaba kuri uyu mutundu ni remember those days when we were in opposition they used to beat you ngamlega mwafika be mlusaka pa intercity lishmwambo kukono kwa so is indirect telling those people to say you should not vote for these people because of this and that and you are just dividing the country so our boss ngomeko sana kutuchita convince tuisho kwa chikwale wale pono kwa can you kindly tell those people to come in front and testify publicly to say yes we were being beaten at Africa pa intercity because of this and that elo twale imaifoku ya mkuvota ine ndimu ngoni mwapuidilika pape pamushipali bampezeni ine ba dadi ni bapa ya njere inebo jere ine ero nafira kuli bamami ababemba bachanda ero nale imukuya mukuvota takwala ma elders yanjwe that oh uyu mutundu we don't associate, we don't mingle, so you should not vote for this man. No, I went there to vote for you and the entire family. We went to vote for you because twaishwa tumgeza tuteka bwino mwanza mku preaching a unit not knowing that makataka na keneka spirit na kwali woku imina
bantu twenda na lesa ifonetse utusunga so lelo twachikwata ba musician wesi mwali batemwa Rich Busy na bena Chester na bena Gaddafi namba ufwe bachi banokwisa kuno pa 10 hours bakutumwise mwangale nabo n'ababome chine kusomeze ukubome chine kuri ba UPND n'abakapokola baletamba tapali kapokola na ngumo wakuti engaya basaresiki balabantu mwatera kwikalana nawa anyimbishecho HB achesta ne uchimamona ichindeo ilanga halosha yeta na kuikatisha chatama musorezi ikuna polisi letu atupokola anakutala ho meso ndefo kweva umukalamba wandi Hakainde Hichilema okutila mukalamba wandi amakaya bakubantu nangu mwingoma ba musician mwalasa makebi na mundubili amabwe abale chula ni aba teofine abanga basalati bale.
Family, let's discuss the division, the rhetoric that's divisive to our country, the violence that has emerged mostly from the UPND, the 5 lives that have been lost in this election, the wanton destruction of property that has occurred, and the incitement from people like Sia1, and we've seen the violence escalate. Let's start with Dr. Sampa.
Okay, so when you look at what is happening, for instance, the issue of what we had on, there was that video that was circulating where people are talking about how they want to get rid of Mondovile and Makebi because that was the only way that this government was going to retain power. Now, this is something we touched on yesterday, Ambassador. The country has been reduced to nothing. We have a situation where the government has allowed people who use unpalatable language, people who are not respectable, who don't even conform to the norms of Zambia, to be the ones shaping the policy of the country. They have made people who normally our children and everyone who is cultured would not associate with to actually be the ones running the media and making it seem like success is everything. It doesn't matter the kind of person you are and whether you are cultured or not. We can't have people like the self-confessed, we've got self-confessed Sangomas and others who are now running the campaigns for the government, even saying that this government was supposed to ignore the constitution just to make sure that they retain power. Now, when you hear such, that is very dangerous because these are the same people who are in the same groups with the president. These are the same people who speak to the people in the highest authorities in the government. This has been a very disturbing moment for Zambians, but it's a very good thing actually to the opposition because when you look at this, it's showing the Zambians what they have always known, that they made a very terrible mistake in 2021. And that mistake now has to be corrected at the moment. And this moment is 13th August. On 13th August, if this is not corrected, we are headed for doom, like I've always said. Look at the issue of the employment of nurses, Ambassador. This is something that has been we've been very categorical about this from the start, that the Constitution of Zambia is very clear on how employment of nurses should be done. When you look at the people who are going to those rallies, to start with, even just the fact that they're going with a uniform, those don't even qualify to be called professionals. Because when you go to a political rally and you are in a uniform for nurses, that's a gazetted uniform. That uniform signifies purity and that you are supposed to be impartial. Now, if you are showing it that even in that uniform you'll be a UPND cadre, then how are people who don't belong to UPND going to trust you? You can't treat people that way. So those, we understand people are desperate for jobs, and the president doesn't care about professionalism. All he cares about is getting the numbers. That's why he's in the
Dr.
forefront of
Sampan,
calling these people.
probably combine your thought with this picture I'd shown earlier. Nurses, teachers continue to go to the rally and demanding, taking advantage of the desperation by the president. Combine your thoughts with this as well.
Yeah. So when you look at the way those nurses are parading themselves, those are desperate for jobs. And because they're desperate for jobs, they can do anything. That's why we can't blame them much. But the president is well aware that these people would do anything to get jobs. You can't play on people's emotions like that. That's what the president is doing. So he would go out there, invite them to come, and this is tantamount to vote buying. We expected the ECZ to come out strong and the other organizations, because what is the difference between giving millimil to people to vote for you or paying them money and then giving people jobs as well? It's one and the same thing. When you tell someone, I'm going to give you a job, but come to my political rally and listen, those people will feel indebted to the president and they'll be appreciating him as a result. They are not going to make a cautious decision when they'll be voting. Instead, they will vote for the president based on the fact that they gained directly from him through that job. Now, when you look at the segregation there, it's a very huge thing, because the people who are being employed, most of them are actually nurses. The president mentioned that they were employing 2,600 healthcare workers. Healthcare workers have got more than 30 cadres. Now, if you are employing nurses wherever you are going, you are simply saying that you don't care about the distribution of this workforce. And that's because the president doesn't understand how to employ. He's not the one who is supposed to employ. The Constitution has given powers to the Civil Service Commission to be the ones to do the technical work. But the Civil Service Commission right now is just operating on what the president is saying. So when he comes from a rally, those people who go with uniforms are being told to submit the details and they are getting instant employment. That is number one. Number two, you look at the people who are non-political. We've got people like Jehovah's Witnesses, those who don't go for rallies. And we've got people who are the majority in the opposition who don't go for UPND rallies. So how are they being catered for? It means those are no longer going to have a chance to be employed, because the only way they can be employed is to support Hakainde, which is very wrong. So we need to condemn this practice. It is a very wrong practice, and it is destroying the morale that people have when it comes to job seeking, and also the trust and respect that the civil service had. But this is a president who has made sure that the civil service has been turned into a cadreism show. When you look at how he has appointed people to the civil service and how his civil servants have been, there is no difference with what he's doing right now. This is just a continuation. He's not following the Civil Service Commission Code of Conduct. They are not following the Code of Ethics. They are not following the disciplinary book, how it outlines what is right and wrong. They are not following anything. Now, this must be condemned by all well-meaning Zambians, because we can't have a civil service that is tilted towards certain political parties. And to the nurses and all those who are going to these rallies, they need to remember that yes, today you will go there and do that just for the job. But remember that doing the right thing is very important. If some of us were doing wrong things when it came to our careers, we wouldn't have even stood up for the people that we care about, who are the civil servants. I remember several times I stood against my own gains just to make sure that I spoke out for the civil servants and the other people as it were. So sometimes integrity is very important. We can't sell integrity just because we want to get a job. Integrity is one of the main things that when you look at the Code of Ethics and Code of Conduct in the civil service, integrity comes out number one. And integrity will make you to be respected even in places or in certain situations where you may be alone and you are not supposed, nobody's seeing what you are doing. If you have integrity, you will still stand your ground and do the right thing. So let's refrain from going there, and we expect GNC, HPCZ to come out. But unfortunately, all these organizations cannot come out because under this government, none of these organizations are independent. If they try to speak out, they will be labeled PF even if they are in alliance with PF anyway, but they will still label them belonging to the alliance partner and they will attack them. So this is the government that we are dealing with, and come 13th August, we are urging Zambians to do the right thing, vote for Mundubile, and you will see the change that is going to come, because the man has promised to transform the civil service and bring about a lot of other good things.
Wonderful. Let me bring in Bella. Two issues: the campaign rhetoric, the divisive issues, and the violence that has escalated. Bella, I hope you are there. Hello, Bella.
Yeah, Ambassador, it's extremely unfortunate, and I'm going to have to agree with Dr. Brian. It's completely unacceptable to destroy the civil service to what we're seeing today. I was talking earlier on about how terrible it is that the qualification of a Zambian degree is being diminished to a certificate, and students overseas are being asked to top up. That's how bad it is. Our research, our advancement in a technology advancement, we are way behind. What has happened? What has changed? How do we recruit 4,000 ZNS recruiter? What were the procedures? What were the protocols? And then, as though that was not enough, you have this issue of nurses going. I think there was an incident of a nurse dancing and being fired. If I and then you have the president himself saying with his own mouth, it just really baffles the brain to think that this is where Zambia's at. And it leads me to where I was going earlier on before the network failed me regarding Iris and Gary. Where are their freedoms? Where are the freedoms of the Zambian people? Why are we not able to speak out freely? How do you start victimizing people like Gary Nkombo, who are brilliant assets to the government of Zambia, to the people of Zambia? Binwell, so many people who have been victimized for saying things that aren't anything. They're a drop in the ocean compared to what he himself has stood on podiums and spoken. Where are we going as Zambia when you have total pollution in the Copper Belt, and that is never been spoken of again? We had the American embassy speak about the issues. We've had BBC do incredible documentaries. What compensation have the Zambian people been given before we get to this false narrative of 8 million jobs? We have a very educated society. Our society is extremely well educated. We have been doing very well in spite of our age in democracy. Zambia has proven over again how well we're able to understand political issues and transition time and time again. We will not have a foreigner show up, begin to incite the elimination of citizen issues to make sure without fail that this election is completely jeopardized. Where are we? And I would speak very strongly for that person, namely Siawan, to be completely and utterly condemned, and beyond that, deported. We will not have that. I have lived many, many years in the United Kingdom and never once seen a foreigner calling for the death of a person and got free. We've seen the resignation of the only because he was associated with the breaking of certain protocols in investigations. We've seen the resignation of MPs, top leaders, because of a shortfall of £40,000 in taxes. We're not talking about the complete embezzlement of funds, transfer of funds, proven forensically, and yet nothing has been done. And no word has been spoken. It's a place where if people like Gary Nkombo, who fought for the cause, who fought for the UPND, who spoke so admirably in Parliament, I used to enjoy watching him. And I agreed so much with some of the ideas and the ideologies that every Zambian citizen should have the right to participate in politics, participate in business, and participate in bringing solutions, whether in energy, in agriculture, or mining. We have a narrative that Mopani is doing well, that KCM is doing so well, and then we see the chief, Nkana, and the deplorable state of Mwinilunga. The deplorable state, the unemployed rates in the Copperbelt of youth. It is a mockery for the president to then announce on public media that there are 8 million jobs available. It is a mockery to the institution of ZAF, of ZNS, of the Ministry of Health, when Sylvia can stand and say, and I'm sitting wondering with a broken heart, how did we get here? It is unacceptable, Ambassador, and we as Zambians must continue to give voice to our opinions in a right and respectable manner. It is not right. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me bring in our dear sister, Queen Pumi. And Queen Pumi, people loved your lozi when you elucidated about the issue of Sesheke and Mwandi. Make your contribution about these issues before we open the phone lines and begin to close.
My contribution on?
Yeah. The current political violence, the rhetoric, divisive rhetoric, and even the recruitment of nurses at podiums.
Okay. I know you said people love my contribution, but I missed the part.
Oh, your contribution in Lozi to the people of Sesheke and Mwandi.
Oh.
I've seen the comments. Yeah, delve into the issues.
So, oh my God. I think Zambia is a partial, is like a banana republic. Zambia has been a banana republic in the last 5 years. You know, there's a breakdown of the rule of law. The power is concentrated on the executive, and we don't want that. The ECZ, I want to talk on the ECZ. The ECZ made a bunch of laws, and all those laws, they were intended for the opposition. But Lesomo Avela, the UPND are the ones breaking those laws, and the ECZ is failing to act. So we have a problem. Because if ECZ, I know, Ambassador, you have always been saying we cannot have a free and fair election with the Mwangala Zalomis at the head. And you have been vindicated. Because if Mwangala Zalomis was fair, the president should have been suspended from this election and his political party for the violence they are doing, for the verbal abuse. Their verbal abuse is starting from the president himself, using inappropriate language, harassing or violating somebody who has a physical disability. Instead of protecting such a person, he is mocking him on his appearance. The president himself, he says, you don't like me because I'm Tonga. Did I choose to be born Tonga? When he's not even Tonga, you know? So the hypocrisy is what we need to fact check. And in these days before we go to vote, then Zambia, open your eyes and make the right decision. We don't want to bring these people back. The violence on NRPUP, I saw Bamundu Bile there. What, you know, I am just humbled and thankful to God that we have strong men like President Mundu and President Makebi who have continued to push on under difficult circumstances. I don't know how many times I've been sending a message to them to say, you guys should go into hiding. You know, I'm so scared for their life. But, you know, I wake up, I see them in Kalumbila today. It's like, may God continue protecting these people. They love the people. That's why they are risking their lives. And again, it boils down to 13 days when Zambia. Kufunyapo by HH. ECZ is supposed to be doing voter education. This thing of the woman burning in voters' cards. What should happen is capture her. Mwebena Zambia. Apopo tufikile. Everyone has a phone. Use this phone to capture evidence. Uyawinena mayo ulepoka maina resi parapene mule alepoka nani voters card mwamu vera mina umbina vera mina kuchi kona so mwamu kopa capture evidence because that woman is a candidate for the police. It is a crime to burn any document. And this is where we need ECZ to step in and start educating people. You cannot share your voter's card with anyone. The only person who's supposed to handle your voter's card is yourself. And then the polling officer, when you go into vote, chapwa, anybody who's asking you for a voter's card, don't. This is why we need even political parties to go in the communities, door to door, and give people, educate people. I know Kudinsala, but they don't know why they are selling their life for the next 5 years for a bag of milimuna duvet. And the woman who's doing this is a criminal. I hope you can capture her, and then we shall have her arrested, so that people can be bale sambirira TV tetia kuchita mkebake sambikaka. Another thing that I wanted to discuss about is the presidential debate. I saw in Diamond TV, they lined up presidents there, they had a debate. I'm like, oh my God, isn't this a joke? Because this race has boiled down to two people. As you rightly said, by Ambassador, the race has boiled down to two people, by President Mundubile and by President Hakainde. But in that debate, none of them were there. What is this? Are we in a circus? That's why I'm saying we're in a banana republic. Because we can't have a bunch of presidential candidates holding a presidential debate when people don't even know them. They don't even go Mkuchita campaign. They're just putting a question.
They have a right to participate. Their presidential candidates. They paid 100,000.
I know. But my point is, where presidential candidates are participating, they should all be there.
Oh yeah, correct. Thank you. Now,
I'm not saying it is wrong for them, but then why have the election without the main contenders? That's my point.
Okay, the lines are open, Mobantu Akwales. That's why I have a panel like this. They should say their minds. Thank you, Queen Pumi.
TIZ election monitors have received reports alleging that members of the United Party for National Development, UPND, have been collecting voters' card numbers and national registration card details from members of the public in Luangeni district in Eastern Province, Zambezi and Mwinilunga districts in Northwestern Province, Mansa district in Luapula Province, Monze district in Southern Province, and Kasama district in Northern Province, among other locations. While TIZ continues to monitor and verify these reports, the practice in the districts where it has been observed has generated concern among citizens regarding the purpose for which this information is being collected. The secrecy of the ballot is one of the cornerstones of any democratic election. Therefore, any practice that creates the perception that a person's vote can be tracked, can be monitored or can be linked to information that is being collected by political actors has the potential to undermine public confidence in the entirety of the electoral process. Beyond electoral integrity, the collection of personal information during campaigns also raises important questions regarding privacy.
Thank you, Mwantu Wakwalesa. The lines are open. Make your contribution. We have our first caller. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Mamba, this is Kafwimbi.
Makafwimbi, where are you calling from and make your contribution?
There's a lot of Kafwimbis and you know this one. I know Bapumi, just give me this. She's our teacher. She gives us advice every week. Every week she will call you and give you advice. And what I want is this contribution that I want to make is based on Abana Besu language. I know Machkwato Yung, this young lady from Eastern Province who at Lalanda, the bad words of Uku, well, they were said by President also. You know, we don't use that word, whatever it is. I'm not going to finish it myself because of what we and people don't even understand what it means. That means pulling male genitalia or something like that. They are very bad words. And I've seen this. Milo Shiku, even Binwell lost it, you know, when he repeated the words of the president on things. The interviewer got scared when the president said, the interviewer even jumped, says, you can't say that. Why be in Ecuador? He said, and he says, no, but even if he said them, don't say those words. And then he said, no, you can't. Then at least he came down and he said, but this is the thing.
The focus should be on the president. The president is head of state. He's a, he's a symbol of our country. And he's using those words that you are even afraid to say yourself. The condemnation should go to the president.
Mwankaka kukanwa islapuisha na lelanda tumweba alipo bonsete in all these stages tapali uwa isapo waisa mboko bomfia mashiwayo. Then what happened? Abana bamboko bomfia mashiwayo mama ne nicha tinishete abana bamboko la bomfia mashinayo. Number what more? We songa mboko bomfia mashiwayo abana who we failed to control bamboko tukana. Number we saw ambo kutukana. Means you walk Africa pesa. A problem that Zambia should see at Uyumuntu you level Africa po. Ala ko naula no kupitirile chalo ya kweba chitukesa firwa nesti ya kuchita. Mwachinka kafenchila puisha. I was just coming back from a thing and you are correct what you said. Because his level of obalechta, I'm telling you, Katwisho Kotwala Africa. And yeah, but often at Lafa Fokuchta express.
Thank you very much. And thank you for that guidance, Bakafundi. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's take as many calls as possible. We have a caller here. The caller is waiting. Just a minute. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Good morning, Ambassador, and good morning to the panelists.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Make your contribution. Your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Soko, and I'm calling you from Chingola.
Mr. Soko from Chingola, make your contribution.
I've always been a spectator and a listener. But I think I have been compelled to make a phone call tonight, today, this morning. And basically, I'm making a phone call on one issue to do with independent members of parliament, those that are vying for member of parliament positions. Ambassador, this issue has always been contested, that those that did not resign from their political parties and are now contesting as members of parliament should should have their nominations nullified by the Constitutional Court. But I failed to come to terms, Ambassador, due to the sense that when one person, stands as an independent member of Parliament, what does it entail? It entails that the person no longer belongs to any political party, and therefore they are standing on their own. And the resignation must be taken in two categories. One must be that it should be done expressly, that one has resigned from a political party, where they write a letter to a political party, informing that political party that they are no longer members of that political party. Then the second one is where an individual member does a self-expulsion from a political party, where they defy the constitution of the political party and they no longer belong to that political party by going away to stand on their own. That in itself is an implied resignation from a political party. So determination over this matter must have not even been undertaken, because a person who stands in an election as an independent member of Parliament is automatically a person that doesn't belong to a political party, and therefore determining their fate from failing to expressly resigning from a political party when the Constitution provides otherwise. I think it is important that we should be able to deal with this matter. And lastly, on issues of morals, our country is taking a nosedive in terms of morals. And the way we tolerated this in opposition, and we are now tolerating this when others are in the room. And it is important that we go back to them and tell them that we as a Zambia, we are a country that also believes in cultures and customs. And it is important that whatever we do as leaders, either it be in opposition or it be for those that belong to a political party that is ruling, we must be able to remember that we command this influence. And our behavior is infectious to the people that we command that particular influence. And our behavior will be the replica of the followers. So it's important that if we tone down, our followers will equally tone down. If we bring in morals and behave uprightly, our followers will also behave in the same way. So it's important that as politicians, we become a beacon of hope and a beacon of morals and a beacon of righteousness, I submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We hear what the Constitutional Court will say about the matter of independent candidates, and I agree with you. And secondly, on the issue of morals, leaders should lead, but we have leaders who are misleading and using derogatory terms, insulting language, and they just spoil the narrative. And language has power. The spoken word has a lot of power, and it can influence a lot of things. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Good morning, Ambassador. Good morning, Queen Mpumi, Wadoko, na our sister Babera. Ambassador, ndefo kutotera FCTK kukuwa babakaingo kukusesheke. Ndewa totera sana abantu aba ofe wachitire pantu ambassador wa president wesofe baba. Nga bambo kuchite chintu ni uri wakati nisirio kira nga ipayo yonish na umi. So nga tamu ikete kutumu afuwa bengi sana. Nga mwarori FCTK kuchirubi bali chitata kifi bibafube. Pamura ndoa BO7 bali babepesho bufi sana. So echecha mano wakwata babepeka abantu bali abatutu abashishibe. If washishiwe pona ngufimo kwa mko babepa. Advantage wabempe babo shana kubena Zambia bali tubepa nomba ino ishta target yabonga mwa wakonka kunchende kulia kali mishofo shaba kwali babantu abashayisa ko matauni abashayishwa ne charo fo chirenda. So abantu bamugatira mind nomba na totera because kulioko bayire bena bayishibi ati kwali fura abantu abashaya ko matauni. That's why the language wabonfya ati nga mwa town wakara myumani wara abantu abafyarirwa kura kwine n'abafyashi babo kura kwine. So beno fe wa mfafya to echi firafine ni shibena no ishwane ya charofu chaba. So yena ara taking advantage pali abantu. So atotera sana pafyo fyachitike mairo na bobambi abakwatama candidates bachitire di campaign kuri wa president tubafweko na mwe parties mutumeko abantu abakweyarandirako balya bakitire ataki kuri ba HH apapalire bagali nkombo n'abafube ku kirubi bali ababepesha ofupali biu7 ukwe bati ewale ngati mwekwata constituency kuno so imbikuti batuma kona nguli bakambuyi baona oraira damage but president ukuimina MP it's not fair that president against na MP Rio ba Madam Mpumi nintotera pafyo bachiranda ba ambassador nicho mulando wakwe bati bachiranda mu kirozi bana barondero kwe bati kurakuburozi kwali bako ambassador abantu ababanga firana kiraranda tabako mu town bafyarirwa kurakwine so bali kwa tefikorwe abambuya nga babe bati pali eche ni eche chukura babe ntambi kirisha kuranda paturura nomba sitwa pepaleza pakwatira bali abaneso abashara muri tribalism baraba ikara mu burozi mu mpanga mulya abashaje banefire kitika pakwe bati development ngayisa nabena kuti bachitako connect pako bachiturendera nabena pamo because ahena days pali umo kumurozi wa 20 kwe bati abantu beso bali shupa relation kuri wacha mukutandara ufumine ku town UPND so achira bo mfisha karaka video kaba mtoto kafwaya ati relation ababembaba relation ababembaba naba mipontera baba pera ka video karaka swike uro wa chirozi so nombo olbasa mutumina kuri ba family babo abarozi kwe batiwe uletwe bati tu votere kwa babemba relation fo bale tupontera so na eno ro ntumina phone ati wa munkonge umfweni ofe kwali ukurondorola tawe iyo problem ya alipitana Apollo Jones alipita bati ishwe na ba UPND bali akubantu abayikara mu mpanga mu burozi ukubeba propaganda pakwe bati bakwate mind yapusana ko pali wa brand mundubire na bashani nomba ndeto tereko fyamba pali fifya kitike mairo wonse barasarapuka Orozen kurwa pura from mwana na ku Northern Province kwati baba yapusana ko because baraba ikara kurwa pura na ku Northern Province abashayisa ko mu town ngabamona wa ku town haya kuli abaromfu afyareranda nomba kuside uko kuburozi kwali baruro rutambirwa kwe batina nguri mukuru wakonkafya cyo chabe nomba treto terrorism fa prime mundubire bala abapo n'abantu development ngayafika tukambo kwendera pamolero kitwaberera ko pantite kutemwa kwabo
Nalamisamblisha Kopanon. I was privileged to be permanent secretary in Western Province. If it's an area I found one of the most educated rural people, it's in Western Province. Tuasanga wa Mayoba Kalamba, she's aged 88, but her English is extremely fluent. And you have to, some of the earliest missionaries started in Western Province. So upon Alamista correct Panono. But let's go to our next caller. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
This is Professor Kalonde from California via Montana.
Professor Kalonde, you are my next guest. We missed you today. I understand you were busy, but I think we'll find time maybe on Sunday or Monday. Make your contribution. You have your two sisters here on the program and Dr. Sampaio, brother.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the conversation that we are having. And in my case, I want to talk about a few things, actually. I'll start with the issue of Yui, the arrest of Commander for Copper Belt. I just want to say that if there is any other people that have been mentioned that they participated in this, and they are part of this allegation, and they are contesting any position as MP or any other thing, they should not continue doing that. You cannot have a suspect on your ballot paper. We can't allow anybody to do that. At the moment, they are suspects, and the suspects, the morality of those people is questionable, and they should by themselves think of not participating in these elections. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is on I'm sure and if from Mumbai you were in government for some time, Ambassador, You know that we had copper reserves. You know we had mineral reserves. And this wanton exploration of these minerals by the PF government here, by HH, I can assure you it's putting us in a very serious dilemma in the future. I happen to have lived in Bozeman, Montana for quite some years, and I brought a few students from Zambia to come and do their masters. Some of them were doing their PhDs. But I remember one time I brought a young man from Mumansa, from Chembe. He was a teacher there. And then Dr. Kriw, who's the ecologist, brought another boy from Eastern Province. I took those boys to a closed mining area, Iakopa, in a city called Butte, some 70 miles away from my city where I used to live. Pamwamba ama mines bali sarapantu kopa yalipwa. If we are thinking that our copper is going to grow underground there, we are lying to ourselves if we cannot do reserves by this time. We are not having copper reserves. But Wakaunda, what did he do? He decided not to open those mining areas because he was thinking of the future. He copper tule mona powering vehicles in Deke, shiny, everything homes. This copper will be gold very soon. I'm telling you, Ngayapwa. Ikabani gold no mtengo kachinjira, but Zambia won't afford it. We can be excited in digging everything we find and giving away our minerals. This is what happened to Ghana with gold. The gold that was in Ghana is in the vaults in UK, but not in the reserves underground in a lot of countries in Africa, more especially Ghana. It's going to be a terrible thing for Zambia to end up with mines and the open pits full of acidic water that cannot even contain a small fish because of its condition. We have that in Butte, and it's expensive. So now, because it's America, they are pumping out that water and try to purify it. Because every year it keeps rising because it's coming from the ground and it has a lot of acidity, and everything, every other mineral, even the small copper that remained underground has melted. That's what is going to happen in Zambia. But I think my sister waku kwa copper belt pafia na pollution ile ya chitike. Nomba mwingiremo mines nga yasadikwa ero ni Zambia yali chula yali peta ikwete ndalama. Who's going to handle that pollution that is going to be coming from underground there? There are shafts in Butte that are closed, and now they are just like tourist places. That said, I would like to talk about one thing that my brother Dr. Brian, about job creation. We should understand that HH has not created any job. Now, when ambassador, the HH has never created a job, not even a single job. If we go by numbers, the teachers and nurses jobs that they gave, Kashingani 40,000 and 30,000, whatever number. Do you know that as a teacher, I've been a teacher. You know that our contribution to the economy is not quantifiable. It is never quantifiable. But we cannot count government jobs as job creation. Takwava Job creation is from the industry, manufacturing, agriculture, and any other sector apart from government. Government does not give jobs and you say we've created jobs. Nope, that's zero. And one of the jobs that they've talked about, that they've done job creation, is cash for work. Bamwamba na bonsabadi pamulabasa. Cash for work has always been there. If you remember, Kaleva Council balengisha abantu for peace work. In peace work, they were hiring people to go rain season muliaba kukwempa misebo. Bautila tiba mosquito bachepeko. Bambino fumisha muifumuti. That is peace work. You can't say that this is done by HH. They were tempted if we want to that papata. HH has never done anything that is sensible or beneficial to the Zambian. The first person who benefits from HH economic conditions is HH himself. I've been going to Zambia, I've met friends, I've met everybody. I don't think I've ever seen a condition of anybody benefiting from HH. I'm a doctor as well, and a doctor. It's embarrassing to see I'm a doctor as Mayango. For sure, I had two guys that I used to call for me to move around in Ndola and one in Lusaka. They were both doctors, medical doctors, who couldn't find anything to do. And the only way to survive, unfortunately, they are even married young men, was to drive Yango. Dangerous Yango, I should call it, because we've seen what, and we've heard what has happened to some people driving Yango.
Prof, kindly wind up.
I've winded up, actually. That was my last point.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kalonde. Thank you very much, Professor Kalonde there. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Thank you so much. I'm calling from Lusaka.
Thank you, my dear brother. What's your name and make your contribution?
Yeah, I think I just call me senior citizen for various reasons. I think I'll explain as I will be explaining.
Thank you, senior citizen. Make your contribution.
Yeah, sure. The first thing I want to comment on the job creation, like my brother just from commenting about. Our president hasn't created any jobs. One, I would say that I'll put it this way. I know someone might not like it or what, but I'll say this thing. If we can say that the government has created jobs, then I would say I recommend PF to have created jobs for the nurses and the doctors. Why? It's because before they left the government, they built hospitals which required nurses and doctors to be employed. When it comes to schools, PF left so many schools infrastructures in Eastern Province and all various parts of Zambia. They built schools, of which it required the teachers, and it also required the students. So of which, if someone can be proud to say, tangereza ma teacher wambi, twaleta mani, manases wanje mani, ma doctors wanje mani, it's because they found the infrastructure was there, because they have not built any infrastructure. And this is the same policy I remember the PF used to talk about or to boast about. They said, we are creating these, we are building all these infrastructures, and once we are done, we are going to employ. And unfortunately, Banachuka Pampando, Kwabwela by UPND, of which likely, obviously, they are supposed to employ. So they cannot boast that they have employed so many teachers, so many nurses and doctors. Then the other thing which I want to say is this. Every nurse and every teacher, whoever was employed, they have to know that it is mandatory that they have to be employed. Why? Because this is their country. And the other thing is that they cannot boast by UPND over them, because why? The money that the UPND are using for those people to come and work is the taxpayers' money, which us as Zambians are doing what? Are contributing to that. And then now, let me also quote this part, which is the most part that I wanted to mention about. If my youth have maning all these past 5 years, why? It's because in Chito, Sizawa Jachape Maneva Jabainda Kangena Muboma and Chindip and Wapes and Chito, EI. private sectors mwechembekeza kuti kapena ma investors vangatichite empower tingapezeko manchito. Nothing has been going on. Even minimum wage yatu nyang'ono maningi to a point whereby we've got nowhere to complain about. Na labor yonse now labor office yonse sina sevenze for the past 5 years. I will remind you one thing about Mwamba with your panel. One thing I'll remind you about Mwamba with your panel. I can recommend the PF over us, but UPND we have not done this part. I remember PF before they left about 150 fuel tankers, which was supposed to be empowered to cooperatives. And each cooperative was mandatory to have 30 members. 30 members times 150 cooperatives. If you can calculate how many youths were supposed to be empowered. But I can tell you to say that those fuel tankers, that's a simple thing. Those fuel tankers that were left by the PF, when the UPND came into power, I am one of the person who is one of the cooperatives. And in that cooperative from 2021 up to date, we have only been paid 3 times. And it has been quite completely. But if you remember very well, Mr. Mwamba, if you follow social media very well, when those tankers were found parked at the stadium there, it was talked all over on social media, the president, all these bloggers, UPN bloggers, they talked much about it. But I don't know if from 2021 up now you have heard anything about that. That was a very good plan because they wanted to put us into energy, into also kwamba kugulisa fuel na running a transport ya kutikazigulisa fuel na running a transport for my youth. But no one took over into that which was young and for my youth up to date. And then the president and his people they are boasting that he has created jobs. Nanga izo nchitonza wajawo mpoma chabe nanga ife vatiganizira chani ife vantu chabe minister napunzire vatuganizira chani. If a simple project kamene kaletako government kamene kaleta vanzao kakuteti kulema fuel tankers twachite empower my youth na beve chifukwa hivi nchito za fuel ma transport ni sabazungu bekaweka ni vamwenye bekaweka wala ninga vijana ma Somalians. That was an opportunity for us Zambians as youth also to learn about how they do that business. So to go life takalako empowered was not punzire, but at least using a cooperative were empowered. But I would say even to date no one is quiet. And the rumors that we hear now is the same big people Vantubaki Mafandas anyway, there's ones who have taken over those tankers, and today we are getting into 2026 now. No payment for those fuel tankers, and they know about those tankers. We don't know even where they are. The rumors are that those tankers are being used by people that are connected to pro-UPND sponsors. So how can the president come and say, no, I've created so many jobs? When the simple job that was left by PF, which we took over as UPND, and we called our youth. If our youth never turn our that, we formed cooperative. We've got the white books, but we don't know even where those tracks are. How can
my brother? Thank you very much. Wind up, my brother.
So Mdala, which I wind up wangu kwamba uti Mdala, let them not lie that they have created jobs for the youths. And they should always remember, if there's someone listening here, they should remember that those youths, 300 youths, those 300 youths that were supposed to be beneficiaries of fuel tankers, 3,000 youths actually, those are supposed to be beneficiaries for those fuel tankers. We are not going to vote for Hakainde Hichilema. What Minya, together with his people who haven't been looking to us as youth to create jobs. Not in Shamba Yam government. Yam government is mandatory, but he has to think of all the public. So be assured. Me, I'm coming from the southern part area. Let him not think that he's going to entice us with what he's saying. No, Balagumuma, no one is going to beat us. This is Zambia for us. We are going to vote for a person that we think that this one indeed is going to take care of us. Let him not even entice to use us from southern province, those words that he uses. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We need to take the last 2 callers. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Okay, this is Deska calling from Luansha.
Deska from Luansha, make your contribution.
Okay, Mr. Mwamba, to tell you the truth, what this government is doing is not okay, it's not pleasing, more especially the president himself. He knows perfect well that he has done nothing, so now he has decided just to continue with the hatred, to continue with the tribalism. Just simple example, today we have a news whereby we have the police chief who was arrested just because of stealing. Imagine the chief police is stealing? What about who is going now to deal with the criminals now? If themselves, the police, they are in those cases now. So now, this time around, as Zambians, it's a clear picture that this kind of leadership that we have this time around has failed us, such that we are able now to see and we are able to judge, so that at least maybe we can have a mindset to say we need to change. This is the only option. This is the only moment. We only have 13 days to go to select our new leaders who can take us somewhere, not where we are. We are stagnant where we are now. This current government can never develop this country, will never take us anywhere possible, because what they know is to please themselves. They don't need anyone who is opposing them to operate properly unless themselves. So now, we are decided whatever they can do, even if that issue of employing people from the public is electoral malpractice. Simple as that. It's electoral malpractice. You can't employ people. What about those ones from Jehovah's Witness? Those ones, people who are non-partisans. What about them? Who is going to employ them if they are not able to go and attend rallies? So this is a clear picture. As Zambians, we need to distinguish things these people are doing. These are kinds of bad leadership that we are witnessing right now. There is nothing, there is nowhere where we will find a bad leader apart from what we are seeing now. You can't employ people on a rally. What about those ones who are non-partisans?
Thank you very much, my brother. Let me take the last caller, then I revert to the team, then we close the broadcast for now. We are doing double shift, so I need to allow them to rest. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Good morning, Ambassador.
Good morning.
I'm calling from India, and I just want to contribute on the sentiments that the President said to Gary Nkombo and his mother in line with disability. I'm a disability specialist, and I've trained teachers in disability issues. And first of all, I would like to say what the Bible says about disability. And Corinthians 12:22-23 says, those parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable, and the parts that we think are less honorable, we treat with special honor. I think in God's house, no one is less, and everybody is needed, and everybody deserves honor. Ambassador, I'm speaking from experience. I have a daughter who's got a disability. In fact, I've got three people with disabilities in my house. And when you discover that your daughter or a child has got a disability, it's the worst thing that a mother can go through. My husband is totally blind, and I have another one with low vision. For him, my husband is no day and light. So what am I saying? I'm saying I'm so disappointed with the sentiments that were said by Vakateka, and I think that is not so on. And considering that abantu balitampa okutota finto, how can you clap for somebody stigmatizing, discriminating a person with disabilities? The ambassador nalifunda abana with disabilities. And today they look up to me because they feel that I treated them well. And they've taken a career path that I had because of the way I treated them. Do you know, when a family discovers that a child has a disability, this is the worst part that people go through. When I discovered that my daughter had a disability, we had even to take her for surgery because the doctor said, due to cosmetic surgery, you know. But unfortunately, after growing up, in the foot, she stopped wearing glasses. So, with fear, there's a lot of fear of unknown by the families. And some families even go to the extent of hiding society, that kind of thing. It takes a lot of time for a parent to accept that my child has got a disability. I think this issue, Ambassador, I would like to see people with disability organizations that are dealing with disabilities, they've been quiet. How can the whole entire head of state talk about laugh at a person for his disability? I am one person that has been, very disturbed because 99% of my time I spend it with persons with disabilities. And I'm hoping that all of our land that we're going to embrace people with disabilities. How are they embracing them? It is wrong. And to all persons with disabilities, you are God's mirror. Let the world see the compassion and dignity and that we love you. I'm standing with the family of Gary Nkombo and everybody else that has got a disability. I'm Christian, my tribe is Love, and Zambian, my tribe is Zambia. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Oh, powerful words. Our tribe is Love and our tribe is Zambian. Very powerful words from that contribution. And the lack of empathy by the president on many matters, just not on the persons with disability, just his insults on even his opponents and his followers, the famous praise singers. We are coming to an end. I will invite the panel to make their last remarks.
You don't have a country called Western Province. Barosland, there's nothing like that. It's a unitary state. I'm serious. It's a unitary state. You, where you sit, you must remind yourself and the people that we are one Zambia, one nation, one people. One Zambia.
Thank you very much, Tim. This weekend, Zambia is celebrating the 98th Agricultural and Commercial Show in Lusaka, and it's a holiday. The holiday runs from the show runs from July 29 to 3rd August, but you don't feel a sense of holiday in the season. The International Trade Fair was held last month, similar period. There was even no head of state officiating at the International Trade Fair for the first time, I think, in over 60 years. Foreign head, that's our premier trade fair. Nothing really happened. Even this agriculture show would attract many times foreign dignitaries, but I was sure. And of course, we are deep in the campaigns. Tim, let me invite your last comments. Maybe let me start with our dear sister, Bella. I hope she's there. Then I come to Queen Pumi, then Doc ends the discussion. Let me just look for the box for Bella. Yeah, thank you. Bella, are you there?
Yes, I am, Ambassador.
Please provide your last remarks, and also you can react to any of the matters that were being discussed.
Yeah, I think my closing remark would just be that to encourage us as Zambians to continue to uphold our moral standing, our principles, to be unwavering in our demand for good governance and demand for justice. Justice in the way that issues are dealt with. We cannot have violent attacks being overlooked when ECZ said very, very clearly that any political party found to be perpetuating violence will be suspended. Why has no action been taken? Regardless of the deaths that have occurred, regardless of the beatings that have happened all over social media, is it just rules for the opposition? Were those rules never intended to serve the opposition, but were there for the ruling party? And I want to speak on this issue of legitimacy and also the standing or the adoption of party members going from one party to another. Have they complied if the opposition are going to be held to such a high standard of abiding by the law, what about the government when they employ illegally? What about the government when they give contracts illegally? What about the government when, you know, party members or high-ranking directors of institutions are found wanting to have transferred $82 million, etc., etc.? What about them? Does the law apply to only the opposition? Are we as Zambians going to accept this? To which I say we shouldn't, regardless of how we feel, regardless of our political affiliations. We are one Zambia and one nation. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Tim, make your contribution. Let's start with Queen Pumi.
Thank you, Ambassador. I just want to comment on the jobs. The president inviting nurses and actually recruiting them, collecting their information once they show up at the rally. That is a tantamount to bribe. You know, that is a bribing people, voters with jobs. And I would like to state here to say this has been the most unfair political campaign in Zambia. It has been very unfair. The playing field has not been even. And I would like just to commend the Tonse Pamosi team, President Mundubile specifically, and President Makebi for just coming up with the courage to go, continue fighting for the people of Zambia against all odds, because they don't have to do this. They are comfortable. You know, they have jobs, they have careers, they have left their families. And this is all for the love of Zambia. And I flip the coin to Zambians, the voters.
Yeah, we're reviewing the campaign.
There is a lot of unfinished business. There is a lot of questions that we have been asking this government. To begin with, Madam Esther Lungu, she's still there. You know, she hasn't buried her husband. Our former president, Mr. Lungu, we know what happened. They stole the body. Is this a government that we want to continue with all these bad things that are in limbo? So, then Zambia, if you make a mistake of voting these people back, how are we going to live? It will become worse. Think of Madam Esther Lungu, how will her life be? This vote that you are voting next to in 2 weeks, 13 days, we are liberating ourselves. Yourselves, Zambians, you have been out of power for 4 years. Your businesses have closed. People are dying. No medication. So we have a chance to redeem ourselves. At least President Munduli is giving us promises. He has never been in that office. But our president, Hakainde, has been in the office for 5 years. He came in 2021 with promises. Today, after 5 years, is back with promises, with nothing to show. Okay, honestly, do we as Zambians have that time to waste? So, vote with your life. Even as Zambia will be here, will be doing double shifts to remind all the doubting Thomases why we need to vote this UPND out and let them answer the charges. Imagine a police commander agreeing to stealing copper. Police commander ufudo kuipusha inepu mulos tumbeko nganafika pa airport paria to declare my whatever goods that are brought in the country. But he's the one who looting. So how can such a police force enforce law, ensure that correct customs are collected everywhere when they're in the forefront of stealing from us? So it's really sad, and thank you, Ambassador, for this opportunity. We shall double down, Akunakulala, and we are here. We shall continue to encourage the people to make the decision to remove these people. It's too much.
You are not doubling down. You are doubling up. You are not doubling down. You are doubling up.
It's just Zungu. Thank you
Hakuna
for the correction.
kulala. Yeah, thank you very much. Before I bring in a doc, I have a very special caller, former MP for Petauke, independent MP, Emmanuel JJ Banda. He has his own podcast, the issues that he discusses. And before I bring him in, there's just some sad news that has developed that a second high-ranking government official has died. We have the Zambia's ambassador to China who has passed on at the University Teaching Hospital today. Honorable Ivan Zulu, His Excellency Ivan Zulu, died this morning. He's among many ambassadors that are in the country probably to come and vote. We lost earlier in the week the PS Dr. Namani Monze. And so our condolences to the family. But I've got JJ Banda here. JJ, thank you for calling. Good morning. You can greet my panel. I've got Queen Pumi, I've Dr. Brian Sampa, and I've got Bella, who's on the Copper Belt. Make your contributions.
Thank you, Ambassador Mwamba. And I've liked this double shift you're doing.
You better join.
Easy. Yeah. You have really shown you're patriotic to the nation. Queen Mpumi, I receive your flowers from me. Dr. Sampa, receive flowers from me. Whatever you are doing, you people, it's only God who is going to reward you. And our sister Bera from Copper Belt, receive the flowers from me. Now, Ambassador Mwamba, I've got just two contributions. One is a contribution. The other one is a request from you. So I don't know which one are you going to allow me to start with, a request or a contribution?
You are at liberty. You are the one that has called, my dear brother.
Okay. Yeah. So to use the freedom fighters, let me start with my request to everyone who is a freedom fighter. This is a request, and Ambassador Mwamba, I think I've sent you the picture. I don't know if it's possible. You can put that picture on your screen.
Okay.
Is it possible?
Yes, it is possible. Just give me a moment. Let me check the picture you sent. Just give me a moment. My software is very adaptive. It moves. It helps me navigate live on TV. Just a minute. Oh, I've seen your picture that you have sent of a saluting officer. I don't know who it is. You are going to tell us who it is. Let me just do a small break. Just 30 seconds. I upload the picture, and then you speak to the picture.
Okay.
TIZ election monitors have received reports alleging that members of the United Party for National Development, UPND, have been collecting voters' card numbers and national registration card details from members of the public in Luangeni district in Eastern Province, Zambezi and Mwinilunga districts in Northwestern Province, Mansa district in Luapula Province, Monze district in Southern Province, and Kasama district in Northern Province, among other locations. While TIZ continues to monitor and verify these reports, the practice in the districts where it has been observed has generated concern among citizens regarding the purpose for which this information is being collected. The secrecy of the ballot is one of the cornerstones of any democratic election. Therefore, any practice that creates the perception that a person's vote...
Hey, JJ, are you there?
Yes.
I put a picture. Please explain what this picture is all about.
Yeah, thank you so much. So that picture, it goes to anyone who is patriotic to our country and who is concerned about the injustice in the country. That picture, our concentration today, let's not concentrate to those officers who are saluting, the other one who has stand still, but our concentration, we should go to the person in plain clothes. Who is this person? This person, Ambassador Mwamba, is Alani Mukare, the DCIO for Copper Belt. And I'm sure, is it 2 weeks to 3 weeks ago, you had, you had published the transfers, the changes in the police, and he was transferred to Central Province. But the time these transfers were happening, this gentleman here, and his name is Alan Mukade, is the nephew to Hakainde Hichilema, the Republican president. And this nephew was in China representing the printing of the ballot and was assigned a very critical, another tax, which I want to explain. So this gentleman was assigned, he's a police officer. Now you see, Ambassador Mwamba, when you have been telling people to say, there's nepotism in our country, people have been refusing. You can imagine even the printing of the ballot, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema couldn't even resist to send another officer who is not related to him. He had to use his nephew. And this is the nephew now who is involved in the theft of copper. And Ambassador Mwamba, you know that copper, very well, you know that copper theft, there's no bail, it's not bondable, and there's no bail for copper theft. But now, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, the president, realizing to say the nephew who was sent to Dubai and to receive even the Tanzanian ballot papers, is involved. He's involved in that copper theft. He has given the directive to Copper Belt to change the case from copper theft to public theft by public servants, so that these guys should be released on
police bond,
on bail or police bond. So now, my request to you, my fellow freedom fighters, it's the moment if Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is going to do that, let's also now advocate to release all the prisons. The prisons gate should be open countrywide. Because we know to say this, Mr. Hichilema has done this not because of the constitution, but because of the nephew who is sent to where? To Dubai to go and receive the ballots from Tanzania, but he's scared to say the nephew is going in that case, and that case there's no bail and bond. So he wants to save the nephew now. So, but now, you, my fellow freedom fighters, let's now move ahead with this story so that these people, our constitution should be respected, because right now, people in our country, they can't talk. It's only you, the freedom fighters, who are on this panel, whom together, Liliani, Mutambo, Chair, the Voice of Zambia, Beverly, all of us, let's advocate for the people. That this man is a nephew to Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, should be arrested, also should go in, shouldn't be given bail. Remember, there are a lot of DCIOs in the country. Why did Mr. Hakainde Hichilema decided to send his nephew to Dubai for the printing of votes, of the ballots? That's the answer we should now start discussing. So that's why I've been always to be saying this, Ambassador, and my fellow freedom fighter there on the panel. I've been saying to say this battle is between God and Satan. And God, by even making sure that the nephew of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema should be involved in that car theft or copper theft, it's because of what? It's God who have caused all this. And God wanted also to expose Mr. Hakainde Hichilema of nepotism. Because right now, this picture, it should go viral. That the people now should know to say, this is the nephew to Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. And he was the one who was sent, but because of nepotism. Because there's no way everywhere you want to put your relatives.
Wonderful, JJ. JJ has made disclosures live here on TV. He's made the strong allegations that Alan Mukale, who's a senior police officer, he was at service headquarters, is now on the Copper Belt. That was, he was the one that was assigned to man the printing of votes from the security side, and that is also involved in the theft of the famous copper theft, where the police commissioner from the Copper Belt has been arrested and the magistrate. And what JJ Banda is saying is that because of Alan's relation with the president, he's been excluded from the offense. He has made even a further allegation that there are now strong attempts to reduce the charge from copper theft to just theft by servant, or reduce it to a bailable smaller offense. We saw this in the case of Mwangala Zalomis's daughter, where the matter was reduced from murder to manslaughter so that bail or police bond could be released. Thank you, JJ, for that. Let's go to your second item. What is your second item?
Yeah, my second item, I want to call to each and every woman, and as long as you're a woman in our country, let's stand with this woman called Iris Kaingu, because the whole flag of our country to go and attack a woman is uncalled for. A woman, she's a weak soul. Where a woman, the president, who is a man, he's a male, he's not supposed to attack a woman. And let's support Iris. And I'm challenging Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. If he's looking for someone who can challenge him, let him challenge me. Let him challenge me. Let him fight with me, not with a woman. So as long as you are a woman right now, let's all support Iris Kaingu for what the president did. And I want to thank the people of Mwandi for solidarity, what they did last night. That was very good. And I say congratulations, the people of Mwandi, they should continue. That's all, Ambassador. That's what I had. And
thank you, JJ. Thank you for the hard work.
This, Ambassador, sorry, I want to repeat this. Right now, let's also now, I've also let Mr. Hakainde Hichilema refuse this what I've exposed to say they are planning to change the case from copper theft direct, which doesn't have a bail and a bond, to theft by public servant. Let him deny this if they never sat. If Mr. Hakainde Hichilema never directed the IG to change the case because of the nephew, let him refute this allegation.
Thank you for that challenge, JJ. Thank you very much. And thank you for your contribution, JJ. We are grateful. Any last word before we let you go?
No, right now what I can say is that all well-meaning Zambians, remember, after next week on Thursday, our country will be choosing a leader. Let's choose a leader. Not who believes in the Christianity values and who believe in our cultural values and the humanity values. These three things are very important. And also, let's choose a leader who can give us food and peace. Remember, food, water, and peace are paramount to anything in the world. If a person has got food and water and has got peace, which means that person is okay. But we have seen the past 5 years, our people in our country, they don't have food, water, and peace. So this is the second independence we are looking for. That's why we call for these three things to come back. Peace, food, water. Christianity values, humanity values, and our cultural values. We have seen our traditional leaders insulted. Remember, my own chief, me, was even insulted by Yui to say, you get off, you village headman, reducing my chief from a chief to be called the village headman. It's uncalled for. So please, as we're going to vote after next week on Thursday, let's remember all the things which we have been treated unfairly by this outgoing president and the outgoing regime. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Former Petauke Independent MP Emmanuel J.J. Banda. He runs his own podcast and is in exile for similar reasons like some of us. And he was gracious enough to make that contribution on our show. Let me bring in Dr. Sampa to make his closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. So,
Doc, the floor is yours.
From the cause, there were so many things that were talked about. I agree with Makafwimbi and his characterization of the insults and the insolent words that the president has been using. Now, I just want to make mention here that in Bemba we say, Isabi ukuola lyambira kumutwe. The president is the flag bearer. He's the one who is supposed to set the tone in our country. Unfortunately, the president is setting a very bad precedence by using insults in public. And this has been generalized now. Insults are being used. Can you imagine, Ambassador? I remember last year, I'm sure even Queen Pomi, you should have noticed that last year there was a time when the president used a certain bad word, the word that I wouldn't even mention here, which can be translated into someone, fondling with their own private parts, a male. And then when he said that, Chimbaka went and explained that that was an insult in Bemba. And when Chimbaka explained, he was insulted further by Kawuswe and other ministers who were unleashed by the president to go and justify that insult. Now, try to look at it from the perspective of an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old child who is listening from these adults. Who are they going to believe? The president has insulted. Someone comes to correct the narrative. The president unleashes more people coming from the same region as that person to fight and show that whatever the president said was the right thing. These people lack integrity. And you see that ever since the president took over power, we have normalized all the wrong things. Just look at how people reacted to Edgar Lungu's death. The supporters of the president were calling Edgar Lungu Akatumbi. Up to now, they joke about it. They were even celebrating his death. People celebrated even when the court cases were going against the Lungu family. We saw them, mount a lot of funny stuff, say a lot of hateful things about the Lungu family. Now, this is coming from the president because he has set the tone and his supporters are agreeing to that and they are just following exactly what the president says. So we should be very careful with leaders because a leader will determine what the country becomes in future. So as Zambians head to pause, this is one of the most important things they should look at. Zambia is a Christian nation, and Zambians are cultured and respectable people. We never used to see such kind of behaviors from the past. It's not like there were no opposition or there were no governments in power, but the governments in power had guardrails around them to guide them. They were well cultured and they used to manage the affairs differently. We were warned by KK, we were warned by Mwanawasa, but unfortunately, all those were taken as political rhetorics. What we are seeing now is exactly what was talked about. And indeed, the president needs to tone down on the language. There is one caller who talked about disability. Working in the hospital for some time now and also having experienced a lot of people who are disabled, you would want to empathize with them. You don't even need to sympathize. You need to empathize. You feel how they feel. It's not easy. Nobody chooses to have a certain disability. Now, for the president to go on the podium and start laughing at, mocking someone's disability, and even to the point of saying their eyes look drunk, it's said there are a lot of things which were said. And this is a person who has a high standing, who fought for his party. When you look at such things happening, you question what would happen if a stranger betrayed this president? Because we have got people who are so close to him who just did not even betray him. They just differed in their opinion. And the president has gone full throttle to attack and make sure that these people don't have a chance to exercise their rights. How about you and I and all the other Zambians? We are not safe. Let's take a leaf from ECL, for instance. ECL, there were so many times when people like Mao Sampa and others were leaving the party and coming back. But when they came back, he still welcomed them. He treated them like nothing happened. Even when the PF was gotten from ECL by Mao Sampa, still Mao Sampa and ECL later, before ECL died, they were seen together. ECL was even laughing because forgiveness is golden. And that is one of the things that the Bible encourages us to be forgiving. The Bible talks about forgiving 70 by 70, which means it's countless number of times we are supposed to forgive one another. But the president has shown the spirit of non-forgiveness. Once he hates somebody, he will hate them to the bone. Is this the kind of person you want to have? A person who failed to forgive even a dead person, a dead body, has been harassed, dismembered. Where in the world have you ever heard of a post-mortem being done without any relative to authorize it or to be part of it? The government just goes into another country and steals the body. We have seen taboos, and these taboos are becoming normal. Unfortunately, we are now at a point where immorality in our country is what is moral. Look at the people who are campaigning for the president. We've got people who are self-proclaimed self-proclaimed, people who practice things that are so illegal in our country. And then these things which are so illegal, everyone knows who these people are. But these people, they are campaigning for the president and they parade themselves as girls, those who are guys, and we see those people every day. Now it has become normal. How about the children who are growing up right now? How are they going to view the things that are being left on social media? And those people dancing with the president, being found to support the president. Indeed, the quality that the president talked about of leadership, he didn't mean improving, he meant lowering it. And that is what has been proven for sure, because we can see the people who surround him, the people who go wherever he goes to campaign with him. We should be able to question these things. And then when you contrast between him and the President Mundubile, you can see the difference. Our president, the president has never, our current president, Hakainde Hichilema, has never at any time recognized President ECL when he was president. He used to call him Mr. Lungu. And it was during that time we could have seen this because they were making a lot of lies about ECL. There were so many unpalatable things they said. They could lie about ECL having children here and there. They could lie about ECL being born in Zimbabwe. We should have known about all these, but it's like we never paid attention to those things until they were brought into office. Now they continued with those lies and deception. Then we've seen where the country has become now. The country is in a position where it has to turn backwards. It has to be 360 degrees to go back. It has to go 180 degrees backwards so that we go the other direction, not to continue. And then when you look at also the other things that the professor talked about I think this was somebody who said, a senior citizen, who talked about tankers and how they are being used by the people who have got high positions in government. Indeed, you will see that the UPND had championed the narrative that everyone who had any money under PF was a thief. So they criminalized entrepreneurship. They expected that even somebody who had a contract under PF, when they made a profit, whatever car they bought or whatever money they had, it's because they stole. But how can you develop a country if your people are not supposed to have money? It's only you and the foreigners. You can't develop a country basing only on investors. We can have even investor doesn't mean somebody has to always be a foreigner. That's why it's called foreign investment. And then there's also domestic investment. If it's foreign investment, yes, it's welcome. But we also need to have people from within Zambia who have got money, who can invest. But look at what they did. For instance, there was a story that was running 2 years ago about not paying the local suppliers. And that story ran for some time because the government was not paying these local suppliers for fear that they would fund the opposition. They intentionally killed the entrepreneurs in the country. These people who were the SMEs who were trying to come up and they were making money through contracts, their income was cut off. As a result, the government itself was sabotaging whatever they wanted to build. So we can see where it has landed us. A lot of youths are jobless. A lot of youths don't have any future ahead of them. They are struggling. And that's one of the reasons that people should be looking at as they head to the polls. Are things better now than they were in 2021? The gentleman talked about the tankers. Are those tankers being used by those youths it was intended to? The UPND labeled everything that PF did as being corrupt. They didn't believe in continuity. Just imagine Ambassador and Queen Pumi. If you look at the countries that are developed, the reason why they are developed, it's because there has been continuity. Successive governments built on the legacies of the previous governments. Unfortunately, the UPND came and said Zambia has been run wrongly from 1964, so they had to change everything. So when they came into office, everything was shut down and they wanted to rebuild Zambia. They even had to remove, can you imagine? They removed the freedom statue from the money. And then now they just put the eagle. You go, when you are going to, it should be Kafue Road, they now changed even on the roundabout. They've removed the eagle and they have put just some globe. When you look at what the UPND is doing, they are undoing the whole foundation of the country. Where in the world have you seen money where there is no symbolism of the country? When you come to America, they still have the heads of their presidents who were there in the 1800s. You go to Britain, you still have the head of the Queen, but you can't even put the freedom statue there. And when you see you look at the reasons, there are no reasons. That's because this government stands on nothing. Zambians need to know that the very foundations of the country are being tampered with. Therefore, they need to take an action on 13th of August. Let's go for Munduwile because he is just the person who has a sober mind. This is a person who is promising achievable goals. You know, we talk about smart goals. These smart goals are what Munduwile is talking about. One of the most important of the smart, it's those goals should be achievable. The things that Munduwile is talking about are things that are achievable because they are building from what has been started already. For instance, when he talks about education, he says, I'll add uniforms and books. It's achievable, very much achievable. Let's contrast with what the president promised. Wherever he's been, he said he's going to build airports, international airports in all these districts he's been to. Now think of it. The president has failed to build even one international airport in the past 5 years. The best thing he has done right now is to build the toilets which we saw in Kwacha. That is his own project. When you talk about Great North Road, that's not his project. That project was started by PF. The contracts, everything was started, everything was done. He came and cancelled and restarted. And there was a lot of corruption. We can't talk about that now. I know we don't have time. But when you look at all those things the president is talking about, if he failed to build complete schools in 5 years, how is he going to build airports? So Zambians should wake up. This is not 2021, where Zambians were just giving a protest vote. Zambians now know that the UPND came through deceit, and the UPND don't mean well for the country. And for these reasons, they will be booted out of power on 13th of August. And I urge all well-meaning Zambians to join forces and support Munduwile because he is the only credible candidate who is going to bring about change to this country.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Family, here in the United States, and our dear sister Bella from Zambia. Thank you for the contributions. And Zambians, as you celebrate Commercial and Agriculture Show and the holidays that have come with you, continue to pray for our country. But remember, you have to turn up to vote. To the families that have lost these senior leaders in our country in the space of 1 week. Just now we've received information that Zambia's ambassador to China, Ivan Zulu, who was in the country, passed away at the University Teaching Hospital. You know, you had traveled to Lusaka like many diplomats during this period. You travel to Lusaka so that you can vote. And he died at the University Teaching Hospital. He becomes the second high-ranking official that has died just this week. We heard the announcement the other day of the Southern Province Permanent Secretary, Dr. Namani Monze, who also died after a short illness in Southern Province. May their soul rest in peace, and our condolences go to the President, Secretary to Cabinet, and to the family of these senior people that have died. Guys, we are on double shift, hakuna kulala team, so you can be called upon anytime to join the broadcast. And for all those, Mwaisa Tuafuako, the platform is ready. If you are willing to come and analyze any issues, we are doing a countdown. Today is 13 days before general elections. So you can imagine the sleepless nights in the next 13 days and post-electoral process, because after they vote, the work doesn't end there. What happens during the voting and what happens after the voting? So we are in for a long haul. And if you wish to participate, just send me your name, CV, and we'll send you a link. The process is very simple, as the leaders here will testify. I send you a link. You can be using a phone, iPad, laptop. It doesn't matter. You connect. The software I have is a broadcast software. It's even far, far better than Zoom or meetings or any. The quality is broadcast. So don't worry about those things. Even your own phone, if it just is a smartphone, you can join. So team, you are on shift. You are just on standby. You are on standby. God bless you, and we will see you later.
Thank you so much. God bless you too.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. Thank you.
Hey,